All right, should be live, I believe, mostly, and such. So I got to do this stupid live chat thing and then pop it out and such. Okay, did that much. And yeah, I think that's all I have to do. So, figure I will, well, first I did another little AI question, and I kept rewording it and still can't get it to answer the question correctly. So, it's just kind of funny that, the threat of AI is kind of weak in terms of it actually being able to understand anything you're asking it. So anyway, so are two parallel springs compressed with 1 unit each of compression the same as one spring compressed with 2 units of compression? So there's 2 springs with half the compression, the same as one spring with twice the compression. And the answer is no. Compressing 2 parallel springs by 1 unit each requires twice the force. So obviously 1 unit is, plus 1 unit is twice, which will be the same as compressing the single spring twice as much. But it doesn't think so. Of compressing a single spring by 2 units. So it's saying it takes more work to compress the parallel springs than it does the single spring, which is completely backwards from the kinetic energy people who say the single spring is harder to compress. The second half of the compression is harder when it isn't. Okay. The parallel springs share the load, so the total force is distributed, while a single spring must bear the entire force on its own. Oh dear. But it's all, this whole parallel series thing is the same as any other parallel series in electricity or anything else. It works the same way with springs, and so this is all just bullshit. And so then it follows up by saying something even more convoluted and contradicting what it said in the first thing. So it says, why the forces are different. When springs are in parallel, the force is shared between them. Yeah. If the 2 identical springs are compressed by 1 unit each, the total force required is twice the force needed to compress a single spring by 1 unit. Yes, but it's the same as compressing the single spring by 2 units. That was the question. So it changed the question. The stiffness of the 2 springs in parallel is additive. Yes, exactly. Meaning their combined spring constant is double that of the single spring. Well, the spring constants are all the same spring. So again, wrong answer. Let's see what it says here. Series springs. If 2 identical springs were compressed by a total of 2 units, they would each be compressed by 1 unit. Exactly, as the displacement is distributed between them in series. Yes. Oh, just amazing. All right, so then it does math. That probably is just garbage, but whatever. We're not going to go through all that crap. But anyway, just another wrong answer from AI, just indicating that there's a lot of wrong answer in pop culture. AI is just pop culture. It's just Wikipedia. It's just demonstrating that if you really did ask Wikipedia a question, it would give you the wrong answer. A science question. Because it's all bullshit. Alright, so I guess we'll look at comments. I probably shouldn't, but let's do it anyway. So we did take down the crap video, so now we don't have that one. I don't know if I want to go back to this first video here. I don't think I want to go to any of them, frankly, first without editing. Yeah, so okay. Because, yes, it just keeps doing the doxing thing. It's just so rude. All right, so yeah, I'll open
this
the video.
pisses me off. They strip table salt down to 2 minerals, call it healthy, and then wonder why people are inflamed. The Red Book shows the truth, but only if you actually read it. Let me explain. This isn't your typical herbal.
Fucking crooks. Oh, I hate crooks. Alright, so the second part is here, so it has a link to the second part. So let me just open all this shit ahead of time. Let's see. And that's done, that's done. Okay. So we'll just see how many lies are in here. Let's see, do I have to... Okay, yeah, that guy doxes me too. Yeah, it's just such a, you can't even bother with these people. Let's see, so this asshole says, all that blank of Philadelphia can do is ad hom and shout down the opposition. So what does that even mean? And he links to some stupid video. So let's open the video, see what the hell he's talking about. So he links to somebody who's doing something about antinatalism. So obviously this is a completely different channel, right? It's draft physics. They just couldn't care less, right? They think all the subjects are the same subject. That's how scientific they are. All right, so obviously I will try to get rid of this comment. Let's see if I have any options here. No. Yeah, I can't do anything. That's kind of sucks that they don't let the viewer say, please, I don't want to see this asshole's comments. All right, that's annoying. It really is annoying that you have to do this. I mean, that these people have to behave like this. Fucking goddamn monkeys. Alright, so, alright, I can probably put it back on now. I mean, just so bad. People are just such scummy little pieces of shit. Alright, that's not gonna do as a size, so, alright, can't look at it for a while again. Oh, this is such a hassle. Alright, change the size. Alright, whoops. What the fuck did it do now? I put a bunch of ads on the page. And the comments are monstrosity. Alright, let's see what I got. That don't quite work either. Well, what the fuck? I'm not going to keep fiddling with... see that? Yeah, that's no good. Size is shit. Fuck this. I mean, this shouldn't be complicated. Fucking bullshit. Now they give me all the ads again. All the recommended videos before you even get to a comment. I mean, just such bullshit. Okay. Good enough. Alright, so Petty Eventi Nut. Pet Evenut E. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea who Gary is, but I'm not getting in the middle, so, well, whatever. I saw this video come up in my feed, and in my haste and fear, I clicked thinking that it was unwanted attention in a reaction video to my most recent video where I was just asking why moonshine is blue. Well, that's really... Man, you people just worry about all the wrong things. Now, I'm pretty confident the let's see, acetic acid in the marsh launched copper over... Okay, so anyway, this just... Who gives a fuck about that shit? Alright, then the blue moonshine guy responds to this moron and says, if you don't mind me asking, why did you name your channel that? Because one day I saw a Facebook posting saying your gangster name is the color of your underwear and the last thing you drank. I thought it sounded good. Alright, so it kind of verifies this guy is a loony and kind of quite deserving of a dickhead. So at least it's good for that purpose. We do have a little more background that this is how he lives his life, by looking in his underwear. Yeah, okay. Let's see, and it does sound good. Then someone told me it's a common problem when making moonshine. Okay, yeah, well, whatever. This is all crap about moonshine. Okay. I don't know. Copper poisoning sounds contradicting because they say it is better to use copper distillation apparatus instead of glass one. I don't know. I simply use my glass distillation apparatus. So, they're all... talking about how they're what's their deal. They don't know how to buy liquor. I'm sure it costs you just as much or more to make your own. Oh, there it is. Oh, fuck again. All right, damn it. So there's just no way to escape this doxing shit. It just ruins all the fun. Alright, so maybe I won't bother with his videos. That should be the punishment, right? I should just say, fuck it, I won't bother. Alright, so let's do the I can science that moron instead. It's probably just as bad, right? Yeah, so I gotta go, yeah. Yeah, there's just no point, right? So there's just no point. Just leave it so you can't read it, because, yeah, there's just no point in taking the chance that they can't behave like civilized people. Alright, post. Why is there a post? So he's working on some kind of crap. Who cares? So there's no comments on this video? No, it's the home page. How did I get on the home page? I didn't ask to be on the home page. Alright, so this is his Silly Springs video. It's not going to load within my lifetime.
Old Spice, gentlemen.
Fuck this. Alright. I might as well put it back to the other size, because this is just not very much fun. Alright. So yeah, I just won't bother showing the comments. I'll just read them badly. Alright. So, something called a real, I don't know what it is, Saigaskas. It says nifty series. Yeah, it's really nifty. Alright, and there's John Sean Walker, who's another lunatic. Yes, elastic potential energy. So this is the video where the guy is saying you need 4 springs compression, 4 spring compressions to move something twice as fast. So if you have 1 spring compression, that'll get you 1 unit of velocity. 2 spring compressions, 2 springs, won't just get you 1.4, I guess. And then 3 springs will somehow only get you 1.7. And you need 4 springs to go twice as fast. Now, it's just idiotic. It doesn't happen anywhere in this universe again. So they make these idiotic claims. They're completely no evidence, nothing to demonstrate that any of this crap is true. And these assholes sit there and reward this moron. And then the moron gives them little hearty symbols, as if they've done something good, when it's terrible science. Just on its face, it's wrong. It's plainly wrong. Okay, and here they are rewarding it. So the Michael Falwell. So this is why, Michael, I'm not going to bother. I don't even look at your channel anymore. I don't bother with you, because you have no credibility at all. I mean, these comments you leave are just moronic. You applaud absolute crap. For why? Why are you applauding crap? It was a crappy video, very convoluted, almost incomprehensibly convoluted, and it said something that's just plainly wrong. And why are you applauding? You see, you just don't have any credibility. Alright, great video. Again, nice and simple and logical walkthrough with conclusion. So it's a completely irrational, provably wrong statement. And you're going to sit there and say, great job. Alright. Will be interesting to see what kind of response this generates. Yes, we've already seen it, the response. And the response was, you got to be kidding me. That's the best you can do, is to assert something completely ludicrous. So you already got the ludicrous statement of 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast, and you're just going to pile on by adding more ludicrous statements. Oh, okay. All right. So another interesting, so this is Middlewelly. I don't know. Middlewelly? I don't know. Another interesting aspect of coil springs is, if I analyze it right, the energy is not at all stored in solid material compression. Well, what the hell would solid material compression be except the movement of atoms and, in turn, the rearrangement of atomic bonds? I don't know. What else could it be? But in wire torsion. So, well, yeah, you do have it wrong. Though the latter, in turn, can again be seen as a combination of stretching and compressing different fibers when thinking in terms of zones in the wire cross-section. So, obviously the elasticity of the spring is a function, okay, of deformation, elastic deformation. So, you know, it's some sort of surface like almost a trampoline or something you can push on and it's going to go back to its original condition. You didn't dent it enough. It's like pushing on a piece of metal and it pushes in and then it pushes back. Further guessing about the linearity of the way to force relationship expressing itself in Hooke's law is probable that the actual relation is more complex. Well, it's a pretty simple statement, but okay, just keep playing a game that somehow it's complicated when it's simple. As the wire torsion is minimal, we just happen to see an initial linear section. So I don't know how any of that adds any value to the simple statement that he's making, that it takes 4 times the number of spring compression units to go twice the velocity. When it only takes, when if you take something with twice the velocity, it will only it will compress twice as much. It will not compress 4 times as much. So obviously that doesn't make any sense. All right. Also, is there any friction? Okay, this is Ron L. Wilson. Also, is there any friction? Some of the energy stored in the spring will be converted into heat due to the friction. Well, it's a different kind of friction, you'd have to argue. I mean, the bending of a piece of metal is it's a pretty big stretch to call that friction. You know, but definitely there is some heat. But it's, I would argue, minimal in terms of the problem. Also, if the surface is inclined upward, some of the energy of the spring will be converted into gravitational potential energy. So they keep saying there's gravitational potential energy, and it's just nonsense. It's again, it's like saying a boat on the side of a river has potential energy. It doesn't. It doesn't do anything until you put it in the active stream. And not momentum. So just idiotic nonsense. Somehow you can have kinetic energy, but you can't have momentum. Even though the kinetic energy has to be made out of momentum, a mass moving a velocity. You can't be a mass moving a velocity unless you're in a mass moving a velocity. Duh. Okay. Anyway, the plus C is the... So this is Truth Nerds. The plus C is for indefinite integrals. It's necessary and also always cancels out for definite integrals like you're using here. Well, whatever. So he's doing some little math fun. Yeah, okay. So that really wasn't much. There wasn't much there. So disappointing, I'd argue. All right, so we'll get rid of that. He was pretty boring. All right, so let's go back to this stupid blue moonshine moron and do the most recent video. Okay, so this was just such a silly experiment, and it's been photographed like probably more times than anything's been photographed. You know, dropping a ball and doing a stroboscopic image of the ball drop and showing that in units of time the distance goes 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, so this is like, I mean, it's so trivial, and he thinks this is somehow going to be an argument. So we've been arguing this for 10 years, and he doesn't think somebody in the argument in 10 years would have some notion about how gravity works, you know, when we've been over it so many times, you know, 4 times the distance to go twice the speed, that kind of thing. So yeah, we're all aware of it. Oh, it's just so disgusting, these people. Oh, a cat is on the driveway. What's the cat going to do?
Your wallet sucks. That's why we invented
wallet commercials. Unbelievable. What you doing there, cat? I'm watching you. Now he's going to explore my garden. Okay. They like my garden. Alright, I do have to hit this newest first thing. Okay. Went from 9 comments to 16. All right, so the only person that commented on his rather inane, irrelevant, doesn't have a damn thing to do with the subject video is, of course, Michael Falwell. Okay, so again, losing all credibility. Very good example here. So he thinks the example, okay, that the falling object falls and gains velocity, okay, and that it gains the same amount of acceleration in each unit of time. Same amount of acceleration, same amount of extra distance, and all the rest is the accrued velocity. He thinks that proves that twice the speed is 4 times the energy. Obviously, it doesn't. Yeah, obviously. Okay, so he says, very good example here. Goofy won't have a clue what you're demonstrating here. You used numbers, measurements, and equations. No, what he used was a false premise that somehow I don't know that gravity does the 1, 3, 5, 7 thing, when of course I do know that. So he just lied about what I'm arguing, and you're rewarding it again. So somebody lies about what my arguments are, and then you reward them. Pretty stupid. All right, all of which are way above Goofy's level of understanding. And then he has a couple little funny emoticons because he's, again, a child. All right, and then this John Sean Walker guy who's, you know, he's like some kind of super nerd. Idiot. Okay, anyway. So then he says, James Prescott Joule coined the foot-pound. So what? I think Newton used foot-pounds, frankly, so I don't think you can get away with that. But anyway, 1 IBM, yeah, times 37 feet per second, so he's using old Newton's numbers, times 1 foot equals 1 foot something, IBF. All right, in SI units, E equals mgh. So again, the mgh doesn't work in any other circumstance except placing something in gravity and dropping it and having it hit a distance. It doesn't work for meteors. It doesn't work for rockets. It doesn't work for anything, okay, that's already going to have a velocity. It'll be of no value whatsoever. And the only thing you need to know is time. So if you're flying by the moon with your spaceship, and you're using it to bend your path, MGH won't give you the right answer. You need to use MGT. And MGT always works. So in all circumstances, MGT works. And it's based on the simple premise of a paint sprayer. Spray paint, it goes, a certain number of particles of paint fly through a given amount of space in a given amount of time. And the fact is, the faster you go through the paint, the less paint you get on you. And the slower you go through the paint, the more paint you get on you. And gravity works exactly the same way. Same exact formulas could be used to describe going through paint spray as going through gravity. Exactly the same. All right. The work needed to move a given mass up against gravity as fixed amount of height is a fixed amount of energy. Yes, for if you want to stop at that location. So if you want to go from one place and then run out of energy just here, okay, there's a fixed amount, you're stuck with it. But if you're trying to get to the moon, or you're trying to get to gravity, orbit, the faster you get up there, the less fuel you'll have to use to get there. Simple fact. The faster you get out of the rain, the less wet you are, the less you'll have to, the less you'll have to put your clothes in the dryer. All right, simple fact that nobody can deny. So whatever that even means. Yeah, I can deny that it has anything to do with proving anything about kinetic energy being real, v squared being real. Let's see, letting the mass fall down in free fall. So again, that's the only way MGH works. Will give this energy and exactly the energy back as kinetic energy. So again, you say it's kinetic energy, but you have no evidence it's kinetic. You have no evidence that there's a v squared component, that this scalar energy actually exists and can actually do work. So all the experiments, the ballistic pendulum most obviously, prove that it can't do any work. The Mythbusters crashed the cars. The work wasn't done. The car didn't get crushed 4 times as much. It only got crushed twice as much. So you just keep lying, okay, about what there is, and it isn't real. It's not a fact. Okay, the velocity on impact with the ground can be found by, yeah, we all know the velocity. This is, again, what are you arguing here? Nothing, right? You're saying twice the velocity is 4 times the energy. How is establishing that it is going twice the velocity establishing that it has 4 times the energy? You have no hope of doing that. Because you have no hope of recognizing, because you don't know that gravity is a time-dependent force. You don't get units of gravity in units of distance. You get units of gravity in units of time. I mean, how many times have I said that? And you just can't, you'll never have a counter-argument to that absolute fucking fact. Because twice the velocity proves it. Twice the time, twice the velocity. 3 times the time, 3 times the velocity. 4 times the time, 4 times the velocity. Okay. Substituting the formula for the equation above results in mgh equals mgh. Well, that's just so brilliant. yeah, Goofy doesn't understand this. I reject it for good damn reason, and you're a fool and a dupe and an asshole and an idiot. There, whatever. But physics works. That's the whole point. It doesn't work. The experiments are decidedly against you in terms of showing it doing any work. It can't move a spaceship. It can't function inside of a gun. It can't survive any logical, rigorous examination, because every time you put it into experimental work to do something, to say, well, let's see it make work. Let's see it do work. The Kinetic fails to do any work. It fails to show up and do any work at all. Oh, you're just such liars. All right. So Michael again? Yeah, it's him again. Okay. So he's responding to John Sean Walker. The fact is, Goofy refuses to understand SS. He would then have nothing to argue about, whatever that even means, and no legitimate reason, as he sees it, to attack and insult people. So again, I didn't attack anybody or insult anybody, right? I have a right to say that's a dumb idea, right? So that's what I did, all right? And then this asshole doxed me, stole my art and defaced it, made up a whole bunch of fake narratives about stories that aren't true, and then even worse, decided that anybody with my name who commits a crime is me. So anybody who has the same name as me and they commit a crime, that somehow I did it. Yeah. So fuck you. Yeah, what bullshit. Which he enjoys more than anything in life. Yeah, fuck you. Just get what you deserve. Well, you already got what you deserved. Okay, you're a welfare pimp. Okay, as it gives him some sick, twisted pleasure to make him feel superior for a fleeting moment. So I've always felt superior, so that's never been a problem, in the sense that even though I felt superior in a position where the rest of the world was retarded and ugly. So there was no advantage to it, right? There's no advantage to being superior if you have to live in a world where nobody could notice it because they're all retarded. Yeah, so it's just no fun being superior then. Okay. So then somebody called Boom Booty. Why do you find it necessary to use Draft Science's full name? Oh, good. In the video, other than to dox him. Pretty gross behavior. Well, compared to all the other stuff. Yeah, well, I'm just saying, it's such a petty, silly thing to do, especially when I explain the circumstance that, yeah, if I was back in my old house and it was just me that you were putting at risk, okay, who cares? I'm not going to get all that upset. I mean, it's still annoying. I mean, I don't like being swatted. I don't like getting pizza deliveries. I don't like getting tons of spam. So, I mean, fuck you people for thinking that's the price you should pay for free speech. That somebody should pay that price for their fucking free speech. I mean, fuck you for thinking so. I mean, you obviously have no concept of American values. American constitutional values. They just don't mean anything to you motherfuckers. Literally, motherfuckers. If the... Okay, so this is Sean Walker again. If the box sliding across the carpet, so this was the part that was too stupid because he kept talking about an experiment and he kept implying that it was a box sliding on something, and he was really talking about something there where there was no friction. So he just confused the subject so much. The video was just such a pile of shit. Has half the initial velocity, a quarter from the full stop. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Proving the fact that, well, wait, let's see. If the box sliding across the carpet has half the initial velocity, a quarter from the stop. Yeah, so a quarter from the end. All right, so it's gone 3/4 of the path in 1 unit of time, and then it's going to take a whole unit of time to do the last quarter. It's going to be sitting on it that much longer. Okay. Then 1/2 mv squared gives a quarter of the initial energy. So I don't even know how that even relates to the subject. I mean, clearly the fact that you're not going half the velocity at half the distance means that the force pulling your energy out is obviously not symmetrical. It's changing. That's the only way that could happen. So you should just be conceding the argument that if you're not going half the speed at half the distance, the thing draining your energy can't be doing it symmetrically. But you're too stupid to recognize that. So this asshole, Herbert Fernandez, foreigner, responds to the other guy and uses my real name for no reason. Looks like we have here a number of blank blank cult, a member. So it's a cult of some kind. You know, what's the point of it, right? You really think that? So, what rational person is going to call veganism a cult? Is somebody going to do that? They're going to call vegans a cult? Yeah. So people who recognize that it's kind of disgusting to be torturing other sentient organisms for their dinner, because they recognize that, they're cult members. And if one of them decides to go do something, burn down a slaughterhouse or something, it's that all the members of the cult are responsible because they made him do it. Yeah, I mean, it's just you people are so scummy. So that's the only good thing is you're demonstrating your scumminess. Really right out here. You're just putting it right out here. This is like you're a clan members with in your full uniform, and so you're just showing what you're made out of, which is shit. Because you can't make an honest sentence. You can't make an honest accusation. All right, what about all the insults and obscene Photoshop pictures? So all of them? There's a whole bunch of them? No, there's one, and it's completely a response to what he did. I mean, I didn't put up my page first. He put up his page first. I made it clear to him, I don't want to do this, but if you're going to force the issue, I'll do it. It was that plain and simple. So everything I did is only a response to what he did. All right, that your guru displays in all his videos. Yeah, exactly. He has my name on all the videos. He writes my name, which he doesn't own. It's not his property. It's not his decision to make me publish under my name. That's my decision to make, not his decision to make. I don't publish under my name. Why should he be allowed to tell me I do? I mean, fuck you again. I mean, you people are just so dishonest. Okay, and then Doom Booty comes back with, so because I think doxing someone's full identity is wrong, I'm part of a cult, ? Insults are fair game in both parties can fling them. Yeah, this part's inevitable. I guess I'm just arguing. There's some argument you can't have without being insulting. Right? I mean, there's no way you could really describe people who are insensitive, like somebody who would defend dogfighting. There's no way you could really have a conversation without being insulting. Okay. Blue Moonshine can go and Photoshop a dick on Draft Science Head 2. Well, he certainly can, okay, but I'll look good, frankly. He's doing it. And the fact is again, I wouldn't have done that if he didn't take my art and deface it. Like I said, he's trying to pretend I don't have a sufficient penis. So he has to attack me by trying to erase my penis. I mean, if you're going to steal my artwork, then leave it alone. Okay, you want to mock it? Leave it exactly the way it is. Don't you crayon on top of it and then mock my art. That's really lame. And if I did it to your wife's art, I think you'd be a little bit fucking offended, motherfucker. But that's what he really deserves, right? Alright, using someone's full legal name goes beyond that because you're essentially trying to affect them beyond the internet. That's ethically wrong. Right, the only purpose is to extort people out of their free speech. That's all it's for. It's for no other purpose than to say, you're a dissident. We're going to burn a cross in your front yard because now we know where it is. And you're just facilitating an asshole doing something stupid. And in the same breath, these assholes will say, I'm guilty of somehow supporting people who are doing acting up protests when I've only made like 100 videos pointing out how I hate protesters. I have no use for protesters. We all should have a fair voice. We all should make our argument. I've said, well, argue the argument. Don't blow up somebody's fucking house. Make an argument. You don't have a right to be louder than everybody else. You don't have a right to steal the attention of the world. None of that. So I've made all those arguments to the people actually involved in these things. The fact is, look, that one lunatic, there would have been dead people if it wasn't for me. That's the truth of it. He would have taken his anger out, and he wouldn't have given a shit if it wasn't for the fact that he knew I'd really be pissed off if that happened. You hurt people because you think you need a louder voice. So he knew he couldn't do that. And that was because of me. I prevented it from being worse. Fact. Okay. So Fernandez guy again is known publicly. So again, no, I'm really not. Okay, I in no way have published or done anything, and the only way I'm known publicly is because of doxers. That's it. And yes, I mean, if somebody does know my name, they can find out I was in a couple of lawsuits or something else. But it's so peripheral. And frankly, it doesn't change anything. You don't fix the argument by saying, again, I could post celebrity addresses. Do you think that would be an ethical thing to do? I have a website. I can post their addresses. Do you think that would be ethical? Do you think people really have to sit there and, prevent people from doing this thing? They really shouldn't have to prevent it. You should all know, I don't play with it. I don't push the button. Why should I push that button? Yeah, that's a simple enough statement, isn't it? I mean, should I find Blue Moonshine's home address and publish it on my website? Not a damn thing you could do about it. Should I? I mean, fuck you. All right. So he says he was directly involved. So I wasn't directly involved in the suicide bombing. And let's understand, it was a suicide bombing. It wasn't a bomb people thing. It was a building thing. All right. And the fact is, there were no fatalities. So yes, a big, huge explosion, property damage, all that crap, but no victims. Okay, in that sense. Perpetrated by, so they make heroes out of these bad people, so that's exactly what these assholes want, is their name in a comment section. So you're feeding the very thing you're saying is a bad thing. You're making it clear to fanatics and nuts and people a little bit off, the people who are really do need medication, and you're making it clear to them that they will get the fame and the notoriety, and their hate will get acknowledged, and they'll be acknowledged, and they'll be somebody, and they'll be a war hero. You're doing it right there, jackass. So the very thing you wish to prevent is the very thing you're encouraging, you dumb shit. You think there's no unstable person who doesn't read this shit and reaction to it wrong because they got something bent in their fucking head, you jackass? You think you're de-escalating them, or do you think you're escalating them, asshole? God, these people are just such scum. And this is what he's allowing in his comment section. So let's just understand, that's another one of the rules is he could just delete this, right? So I deleted a comment. It was hilarious that the Blue Moonshine guy said, "Oh, you just delete all the comments." Well, I don't delete all the comments, but I certainly have a right to delete comments because some of them are just so bad. So there's a whole comment thread about the fact that this Blue Moonshine guy somewhere committed an assault and battery, okay, right on video. Like he went up to somebody's house with a video camera, said, "You're on candid camera" to the guy, and then punched him in the face. That's the story they told. Now, I said, is there any evidence of this story? Where's the video? I'm not going to let you just talk this shit. So I deleted it because until somebody shows me some evidence, it's just shit talking. But the fact is, the Blue Moonshine guy didn't deny any of it. So you're just saying, what the fuck? Is this a true story or not? Anyway, his name was on TV. So again, that doesn't mean you have some right to use it in a gratuitous or wasteful or stupid manner. We know the facts of the internet. We know you're just facilitating bad behavior. So why are you doing it? All right. This is information that is known to the public. Where is it known to the public that I have a draft physics channel related to my real name? Right? That's not known to anybody in the public. You're doing that. You're connecting these things. You are. Nobody else. Anyway, this is a historical fact. Everybody's name is somewhere. It's written on a birth certificate. It's written on a piece of paper somewhere. This is just bullshit. It's in a yearbook in a school library somewhere. Does that mean it's your property? I mean, this is just such, it's on a public. It's written on a public book. Therefore, I have a right to use it. I mean, it's just bullshit. All right. Anyway, and reminding about it's not doxing. So again, it obviously is. It has no other purpose. You're not going to find any more physics information by using my name. That will not glean you physics information, physics papers, physics publications, physics conversations. It won't work, okay? So it's just a lie, okay, and nonsense to say it's integral in any way to these conversations about physics. It has nothing to do with it, just as my artwork has nothing to do with it, just as my other channel has nothing to do with it. And it's just a disgusting tactic. That's all it is. You're just trying to hurt me, okay, to make me pay a price for my free speech. And that's all you're doing. And that's all the dickhead right there is. It's just payback. That's all it is. It's just saying, okay, this is the price you're going to pay. I'm going to put that dickhead on the logo of their fucking university, okay, and so it's going to pay a price for your bad behavior. Because that's what you deserve. All right, let's see. This world is upside down. In case you missed it, Blue Moonshine is the victim. So this is just such a lie. I mean, again, he made that lie page, and then he made a lie page, and then he made the lie page worse and worse. And I hadn't done anything. There was no dickhead. There was no nothing. So it wasn't until, frankly, the art thing, that was the step too far, frankly. Taking my art was okay, but defacing it, fuck you. So that's when I dickhead him. So you got your facts wrong, fuckhead. And he's not defending himself. Absolute nonsense. And again, he put my name in the comment again. All right. So Gary doxed himself several times in his videos. Such a minor way. It's not a big deal. Okay, it's not in the video. It's not written all over the screen for the whole video. It's not, in anything at all. I mean, nobody needs to get fanatic here, okay? It's the argument is there any purpose for me to have a physics argument for somebody that he has to dox me? And that's the question. Is there any reason for him to do that other than to attempt to harm the security of somebody else's, of some other person? So again, it's like me just going after his plumpy wife. Does he want me to do that? Okay. When someone else does it, big drama. So it's a he exposed a lot of his private life. Yeah, of course I have. So what? How is my, again, this isn't about anything about my private life. This is about my my security, this residence security, the people living in the house, the people live next door even. That's what it's about, jackass. Again, as I stated, I couldn't care less if it was me back in my own little cottage. But it's not. Fact. Okay. He did this to himself, liar. So again, it's just so obvious. I mean, obviously, I'm not posting on my name. Isn't on my channel. There's no reference to my name. I don't use my name. I don't publish under my name. So again, all this is just lies. Okay, let's see. So this guy says, what's wrong with you? Gary first hit Valerie Russo in the back. So how so? Russo turned around and hit him back. So what a lie. Just an absolute lie. I did a response video pointing out that I think his physics is garbage. I have a right to do that, moron. God damn. I mean, what fucking snowflakes these people are. It's a personal attack to say, I think your physics is rubbish. Amazing. Alright, so the Doom Booty guy says, I can't see my other comments. Looks like Blue Moonshine is removing them. Now it's just a... It just, just proves he's scared of the truth now. It just proves YouTube sucks. Secondly, nothing about, now he's using my other channel name, philosophy is promoting violence. That's right, period. If some wacko decides to use blank as a reason, and that doesn't therefore mean that Gary had anything to do with it. People do and say all kinds of things. Simply saying something inspired you can be dismissed as ranting. So it doesn't even matter whether I inspired him. I mean, if I inspired somebody to believe in Jeebus, and then they believed what it said in the Old Testament about smiting and killing all the babies so the bad people can't breed and all that kind of stuff, and they go out and kill some babies because they're going to do the Lord's work. Is it really somebody's fault for showing them the Bible? Yeah, I don't think that. That's a pretty irrational way to interpret things. All right. How is he the victim? So that's he's answering the question. He's being challenged on a field he presents himself as an expert in. Do honest science and let the results speak for themselves. Well, at least make honest arguments. Again, these aren't honest arguments. These arguments don't have anything to do with physics. They don't have anything to do with resolving the issues we're discussing. It's all superfluous crap intended to distract from the very purpose, which is to argue the physics. So I keep trying to argue physics, and they keep trying to turn it into a personal thing. That's the facts. Alright, so Blue Moonshine says to the guy who said I can't see my comments, I never remove comments. Well, that's bad on you, right? Because there's a bunch of comments here that, frankly, you should moderate. People shouldn't be able to make accusations that aren't true, that aren't supported by evidence. Most responsible YouTube channel owners recognize that responsibility. They don't let somebody do racist stuff or do this or do that. You know, they have rules. Okay, as opposed to what your guru does and recognized. Yeah, so again, this is the big joke, right? So you're part of the majority, okay, and you think it's exactly the same as when you have a minority opinion. You think it's exactly the same. You know, living as a white man 100 years ago was exactly the same as living as a black man. That's your sick, perverse delusion, and that's all it is. So as a scientist, you're really fucking dumb if you don't know the distinction between being in a minority position and being in the majority. If you don't understand those groupthink dynamics, you're pretty fucking dumb. Alright. Just look what happened to the Japanese, in World War II, the Japanese Americans. Fuck you. You're just such an asshole. Obviously, you work at a Catholic university. You know what they did to Galileo, and you're doing the same thing. You're playing the same kind of game. You're trying to torment me because I don't believe your religion. And that's all you're trying to do, is torment. You're not trying to convince me with evidence. You're just trying to irritate me. Even when they are insulting me. Yes, I have a right to insult you. You're a jackass, and you're proving it. I mean, you triple proved it when you sat there and make accusations that I committed crimes I didn't commit. I mean, that's a disgusting thing to do on the internet. It's just to sit there and dock somebody's name, do a Google search, say, hey, a guy named the same name as him committed a crime. Let's blame him for it. That's as low as you can go, frankly. Can you be dumber and, have less ethics and to not realize you can't do that on the internet? Duh. I mean, how fucking stupid do you want me to call you? I mean, that's as dumb gets. All right. I have a good reason for not deleting my comments. You don't have any good reason not to delete this shit. So either you are lying. So he's calling somebody a liar because they can't see their own comments because of YouTube. And this guy's not even smart enough to say, oh yeah, I know, I heard about this YouTube comment thing, where half the comments don't appear unless you hit newest first. I mean, it's a real thing. It's been around for like 2 years. This YouTube feature has existed for 2 years. All right, so are you incapable of finding them? If you're not lying, just click on sort by and newest first. Usually that does the trick. So yeah, first you call them you presume the lying thing. Why not just offer the advice? All right, good to know you didn't delete them. I apologize for saying so. It may be a YouTube acting up. No, it's not. It's YouTube being YouTube. So it's something you have to always be mindful that any time you look at a comment section, you got to think, oh, I got to hit that newest first button, because half the comments are going to be missing. All right, YouTube will hide comments automatically if there are keywords they don't like. It is annoying. I don't even think it has to do, I don't even think it requires keywords they don't like. I think there are people they don't like. Okay. So then this Herbert Fernandez shows up again to say he's being challenged on a field to present himself as an expert in. It is the scientific community that presents him as an expert. So that's part of the joke here, right? So all of his papers are this abstract nonsense, and the only one, that's about a subject that you could almost call a physics subject is that silly cat crap, Einstein's cat, where he just, does something silly and says, I'm going to balance this battery on my finger. If the battery falls over, the cat dies. And if the battery stays on my finger, the cat would live. It's that silly. There's no science. There's no nothing. It's not a contribution to the subject of relativity at all. He's pretending he's proving that regular clocks experience time dilation exactly the same as atomic clocks when there's no evidence of that. So it's just an absolute pile of steaming shit. All right. He has a PhD over 60. So he sits there, 60 peer-reviewed publications. What does that even mean? This peer review thing, these are just websites that publish anybody who's part of a teaching community. So there's, fuck you and this peer review horse shit. Okay. Nonsense. In high-quality journals. Says they're high quality. Holds a physics professor position. Yeah, in a shitterversity. Okay, and is even cited on Wikipedia. And again, cited on this, at the very bottom of the Wikipedia page. And so you're almost saying, why is he there? Is he an editor at Wikipedia? I mean, he clearly has an account at one of those shit forums, Quora. So I wonder how much, what exactly is, why is that silly paragraph at the bottom of the relativity page? Because it really shouldn't be there. It's crap. All right. Do you seriously think that blank can challenge him? Well, I've clearly challenged him in the sense that he doesn't even understand the simplicity of the subject. So even though this video says MS against it, kinetic energy, he doesn't even understand what the subject is. He doesn't understand the subject is physics claim that it's twice the velocity is 4 times the energy, and 3 times the velocity is 9 times the energy, and 4 times the velocity is 16 times the energy, and 5 times the velocity is 25 times the energy. He doesn't understand that's the fucking subject, and he has to produce some sort of evidence that that's actually true. And he's producing nothing even on the subject. Alright, so anyway, blank doesn't even understand the difference between force, energy, momentum, and power. That's right, because they're all exactly the same fucking thing. Newton made it clear, right? Force, he used the word force, Okay, now it's a Latin translation, but that's as close as it comes. All right, and he said twice the force, twice the motion. Twice the motion is twice the momentum. 3 times the force, 3 times the motion. Well, that's 3 times the momentum. So obviously force and momentum are the same thing, if you believe in Newton. And the simple argument is energy, as just the word energy without the kinetic in front of it. It's pretty easy to argue that anything moving is energy, whether it's an electron or it's an elephant. If it's moving, it's displaying energy. And power would likewise be the same damn thing. So, fuck you. Yeah, I don't see the difference. That's right. It's all the same thing. I don't see the difference between heat radiating out of something and something moving, because something moving is just heat in the same direction, frankly. That's all it is. Heat dispersed in all kinds of directions. That's a school of fish swirly-dirling. A school of fish that's moving, well, now that's heat in a direction. That's how I started this channel, by the way. Was that, I took an image of a big swirling mass of school of fish, because that's the concept, that energy can be trapped in circles, or it can be trapped going back and forth, or it can be free and going in a direction. And it's always in one of those forms. The energy itself is the fish. The fish never stops swimming. And all you can do is change how they're swimming. Are they swimming in a direction? Are they chaos? That's all. It's so simple. And it's absolutely how the actual force universe works. But you're all too stupid for that conversation. Alright, probably should have put the chat on the screen, because there was nothing on the screen all this time. But anyway, yeah, it's just unfortunate. I just can't bother. You can't play their videos. You can't read their comments. Because they can't stop threatening the person who owns the house I'm living in. They have to threaten them to get to me. All right. So let's go find the chat. Should be one of these stupid windows, right? Yeah, how come it doesn't have a separate icon? I don't know. Alright, so, oh, look at that. Blue moonshine showed up. AI definitely understands physics better than you do. Well, I've shown it now in 2 videos, the completely wrong answers. So again, do you really believe that 2 parallel... I'll draw it just because, this is what he's claiming, right? And the other guy claimed it takes 4 springs to move something twice as fast. Do you really think that's true? I mean, it's just hilarious, right? I mean, how can you get dumber than this? So, he thinks that if I have 2, they're all the same spring, okay? So I compress 2 parallel springs. Or I compress 1 spring, okay, 1 single spring, twice as much, okay? These 2 things have the same energy. 1 unit of compression here and here, okay, pushing, is the same energy as 2 units of compression in 1 spring. This will get you, it would be twice the velocity if it wasn't for the fact that springs fail to give all their energy. So it might only be 1.8 the velocity. And this will give 1.8 the velocity. The 2 things will produce the same velocity in an object. 1 unit of compression in 2 springs will give you the same velocity as 2 units of compression in 1 spring. It in fact takes the same energy to push this far as this far. It just does. Yeah. Because you can prove it by putting another weight on. You put 1 weight on, you get 1 unit of distance. You put a second weight on, you got 2 units of distance. Alright. So let's see. Oh yes, you like to delete comments from people who prove you wrong. So again, it's just a lie. Look, the comment section speaks for itself. I have no obligation to answer liars in the comment section. So if I go on Blue Moonshine's channel and I start just making up fake stories about his life, all right, or his activities, or what he has said exactly, and then he has to keep answering lies, and saying that didn't happen, that didn't happen. Why should I actually have to make a video explaining how I can prove I don't live in Mercer County? Should I have to dox myself to prove that I'm not this person you claim committed some kind of crime? I should have to do that with my time? Is to undo your lies? Fuck, I have that obligation. So you show me the comments you left up where somebody was saying something derogatory about your wife's art, or about how ugly your fucking little moron kids are, or some other kind of shit that gets into your personal fucking goddamn life, and then tell me you have no right to delete those comments. Fuck you, liar. The fact is that people who are on my side have integrity, and they don't do that shit. I've never made a fucking rude, invasive comment on the internet in my fucking life. And if you want to have a fucking challenge, jackass, okay, I'll pay the fee to get YouTube to display all of our activity on YouTube for the last 20 years, you motherfucker. Because I know I've acted like a decent human being, and I'm damn sure you haven't. So Herbert says again, so trivial that you don't even understand anything of it. So this is nothing, a nothing comment. So look, I could say, what is that? Where is the physics in that argument? Did you make an argument? Just calling somebody a booger head is a waste of everybody's fucking time. I would never go on somebody's video and say, you're a booger head. It's a waste of fucking time. You can't make a physics argument. If you can't make a physics argument, don't comment, fucker. You can't figure that out? I have to explain that to you, you dumb shit? God, what idiots. So I want to put the disgustingly stupid comments of these fucking morons on the screen. Maybe this is it. Yes, it is. Okay. So it is interesting that I was just reading Herbert's moronic comments and he just happens to be in the room. What a coincidence. Oh, it's officially my birthday. Yeah. I didn't even know, what date it was. I said, oh, yeah. Oh shit, I have to go through that again? 66 years old. Who would have thought it? It is bizarre. It's frightening, though. It just sucks getting old because you're just waiting to die. You're just waiting to find out what your fun little gift of life is going to be for you. What's going to be the lovely way you're going to be murdered off the planet? Oh, it's so much fun being alive and human. Ooh. Yeah, fuck all you stupid morons. All right, anyway, so that was just useless. So I'm going to delete your comment. I'm not going to block you, but I'm just going to delete that one because, look, it just shows you have no substance. There's no point in saying anything to me if it's not a physics argument. If it's not a physics argument, I'm not interested. You can't understand that? I make physics videos every fucking day. I talk about some physics subject, and I talk about it, and I draw the springs, or I draw something else. You have to argue those things. Talking other shit is so fucking irrelevant to me. Alright, your time dilation video was great. Yes, it was, frankly. In terms of it just points out that there could be other explanations. So it's just like the tired light argument, right? Everybody knows there's a bunch of atoms in empty space. It's not perfectly a vacuum, okay? There are hydrogen and helium atoms just floating around in empty space between the galaxies. And so there's a certain number of those a photon is going to hit. So if it's traveling billions of light years, okay, insane amount of time and distance it's traveling, it's going to interact with some of those. And if you just figure out that you already know from Compton scattering that, what does Compton scattering do? Oh, it reduces the frequency. So right there you could say, well, doesn't that explain redshift? And then if you add on that we know what Crab Nebula is, we know there's a bunch of this stuff where there's places in the universe that are really dirty. Lots of dust, lots of particles. And so there, light traveling through those gigantic hunks of space would interact with a lot of fucking particles. And again, redshift. So you know that the There's no good reason not to recognize some redshift would logically be caused by just the fact that traveling through space, photons are going to interact and get redshifted, because it's inevitable they're going to hit something. They can't even accept that. So I'm just saying, yes, it's just so easy to say, and again, it's just an extension of the entanglement argument. How can you be entangled with something else if you recognize that all these forces are flying around through the space constantly? How the fuck could you think two electrons could stay entangled when those forces are essentially taking pictures of them? It's the same thing as clicking the camera. Yeah, there's no film in the camera, but it's the same thing. It's being outed. It can't remain entangled because it's changing the universe based on where it is located. Where it's located changes everything in the universe. If I move a particle from here and I magically just poofed it over here, the universe would change. But these people are just so dumb. It was very informative, and your explanation of the physics was concise and logical. Time plays a big part that physics seems to forget. Well, the fact that time is just a function, just the fact that scientists allow people to use this dimension word when scientists should say, no, let's not use dimension. Let's not talk about fourth dimensions and fifth dimensions, because they don't obey the rule. You can't make a fourth dimension that's right angles to the other three. So why pretend it exists as a dimension? It's not a dimension. Why so many things? These people are just such pieces of crap. All right, especially with gravity being a time-dependent. I don't understand how the force can be anything else than time-dependent. So it'd be interesting for somebody to show me a minute force, a force that's made out of rays or let's see what this is. I don't know if it matters that even a balloon would apply a time-dependent force. Just because the energy inside of it is still particulate, so to speak, discrete and small. But yeah, there's no way to describe those forces as being anything other than time-dependent. There's a certain amount of force that goes through a certain amount of space in a certain amount of time. They're all time-dependent. A stream, a river, there's just no way to have any of them that aren't time-dependent, and they behave exactly as if gravity. So just like gravity, if I go across a stream very quickly, I get bent very little. Well, it's just like going through a gravity well, the same rules apply. So clearly gravity's a stream. Leonard Susskind teaches it by literally describing it as a river. How more time-dependent can you get? All right, anyway. All right, what are you reading? I'm reading the fucking comments and the moronic videos. He's reading comments from videos that were posted recently. Oh, okay. Well, see, these people don't really, they really can't play along. That's it. Wow. Fat person deleted a bunch of stuff. Yeah, fat person, you might get blocked just because you're way off the subject way too often. Way too often. Let's see. So Hernandez says, oh my God, this is hilarious. I'm going to download this video before he deletes it. What the fuck? Deletes what? What? There was, there was a tiny glitches where my name shows up in very small type. Well, I'm not going to thread about it. And it's a big difference from promoting it and having it under the video and having it as part of the video, or having it in my screen name, or having it in the description of the video. Huge giant difference. And the fact that you people can't figure that out. There's no point in us having screen names, right? You're basically just saying that nobody should be allowed to have a screen name. That's what you're saying. And I think that's just retarded. And I think you know better. I think you know how dangerous it would be if, like I said, every dissenting a person on the internet would be threatened, their personal security, and you know it. What is hilarious is the temper tantrum you threw a few minutes ago. Well, you're not making a comment, right? This isn't physics again. So I can say the same thing to you. You're wetting your pants over what? What are you even doing here? You have so little, a tiny a life that you have to end up in this room? I'm reading your comments on another piece of shit video that's not even on the subject, right? Completely irrelevant because it's made by this blue moon retard, all right, who can't understand the distinction between kinetic energy and momentum. The point is to provide evidence that somewhere in this universe it takes 9 times the force to move something 3 times as fast. You need to show me that. Oh, man, you people are just so dumb. So that's it. Yeah, so it's not really much. It's okay. There's 10 viewers. Wow, we haven't had 10 viewers for like 3 weeks. And I haven't had any nicotine for like an hour. Yeah, it's way too long to go. So let's see if we can find something else to... You know, I can always talk about springs some more and the evasion. So Hernandez guy, did you watch the spring video I made? You know, number 1 in the series where I explained how nobody in the annals of history of springs has talked about springs and the fact that they're not very good at... All right, so you're saying to me, I want to be blocked, right? Is that what you just said to me? Okay, so fine. You know, of course I'm going to block you, asshole. So, you know, so he just doxed me, right, for no good reason. So I asked him to make a physics argument, can't make it. All right, and then I'm asking him. I'm right in the process of asking him a question, and he won't even hang around for that. You know, that's how deplorable these morons are. But yeah, if you watch the spring video, I'm just saying, is there anyone who could possibly disagree that yes, the fact that the spring is still moving after the object leaves must mean it didn't give away all its energy, right? The spring can't still have energy and give away all of its energy. So clearly the more the spring's wobbling after the experiment, the less energy you got into the thing you were pushing. And it's kind of obvious that the spring wobbles more when you push a light thing than the spring wobbles when you push a heavy thing. So has it, you know, so if there's been no rational counter argument to that video, and it points to a flaw in all of the thought experiments and all the rhetoric of physics about how carts work. You know, they use these cheap little springs between these plastic carts and draw conclusions, and they've never appreciated that fact. They've never counted the angular motion in the wheels. I mean, it's a substantial amount of energy that's caught in the rotation of the wheels, especially when you make the wheels this big and you make them out of steel. You know, it should be plastic wheels and a metal cart, not a plastic cart and metal wheels. I mean, the fact that they won't concede that, yes, it isn't very smart to make a low friction cart where the wheels are made out of metal. They're just so stupid. So, and the fact is, they have no evidence because, you know, again, they shouldn't have to do the experiment, right? They should just be able to link to a video where this experiment's already done, right? Dropping things, you know, measuring how much energy they have, joule tank experiment somewhere. How come no one's done a joule tank experiment in 150 years, right? The guy's famous for inventing the experimental apparatus, and it was never used after he was dead. Nobody ever built a joule tank. Well, they don't have any, they can't make physics arguments, so all they can do is attack the messenger, right? They can't deal with the message, so they have to attack the messenger. They can't, you know, they can't undo the fact that the Mythbusters visual of the cars crashing and showing no sign of 2.5 the crushing or 3 times the crushing, and certainly nowhere close to 4 times the crushing. So they can't undo the fact that the evidence isn't on their side. They can't undo the fact that the ballistic pendulum, you know, loses 99.94% of the kinetic energy, can't be converted into work. The work is moving the pendulum. That's what you want to have happen. You want the pendulum to move. And with all their technology, they can never move the pendulum with anything more than the momentum. Not one tiny % more than the momentum. Ever. And they don't have a counter argument for that. What can they say? Oh, it's just a coincidence. Yeah, it's a coincidence that it never, ever, ever, ever produces anything more than just the momentum. That's the only part that ever does any work. And yet they say kinetic energy does work. And in all the experiments, it fails to do any work. It's funny that the guy who just did the doxing thing, he had to change it. He had to put periods between the letters because I have blocked my name from being typed. It's like, so that didn't even stop him. The fact that I've blocked the words, certain other words likewise, and he couldn't accept that as a statement saying, well, this is where you can't go. You can't do this. Just like I don't let people type the N-word or some other kind of crap in the comments. And those reasonable barriers, they just can't accept. And again, anybody who wants to really challenge me, I have 20 years on the internet, 20 years. And I've never posted a comment on anybody's video that was just trash talk, ever. No one's ever had to block me because I've never talked shit on anyone's video, especially about them. I mean, the fact that none of these people can make a video, right? That's the other part of it, right? What's so hard? I made the videos. I made 5-minute videos and I made 10-minute videos. What's so hard about playing the video and just illustrating where I'm saying something wrong? Where what I'm saying in the video is incorrect? What's so difficult about that? Yeah, I don't know what a jouleoscope is. So he did do some stuff with electricity, using magnetism and electric fields to also measure motional energy. So the Joule tank wasn't the only thing he made. He did make other devices to try to measure energy. And again, his whole point, the whole reason why he did this was because he was right where steam engines and electricity was just becoming a thing. And so he had a real question about what he wanted to buy. He was going to buy new machinery for his brewery. And he really wanted to know in hard, real facts which device would be more efficient, the steam engine or the new electrical engine. Yeah, so Blue Moonshine, do you think that's a useful comment? You think I can't just, oh, thanks for being ugly and disgusting and getting boogers on my website. Oh, disgusting. Oh, you put boogers in my chat. I mean, what's the point? You realistically can't make a physics argument, right? You're a physicist and you can't make a physics argument. You can't show us it taking 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. You can't show us an experiment in the universe, anywhere in the universe, where that fucking thing happens. Nothing. You have nothing. Let's see. By the way, I confirmed that 9.6 centimeters is equal to 0.096 meters. I don't even know what that means, but fine. You confirmed something. I'm saying my chart is in the video, okay? So I've showed the chart, okay? And so if you're going to say that 9.6 centimeters, okay, that's close to 9 centimeters by my chart, okay? That would be, what, 3 times the velocity? It's 3 units of time. 9 centimeters takes 3 units of time. I mean, 9 centimeters can be broken down into 3 units. The first, the 135. 9 centimeters is the 135. It's 3 times the weight. So whatever you're dropping now weighs 3 times as much. If it's going to be allowed to drop 9.6 centimeters, it's going to weigh 3 times as much. Plus its original weight. You're not saying anything, okay? Say, well, you proved to us that you can't. I'm just saying what on my chart is incorrect. There's just no point in doing this in text, frankly. You can't just play my video where I show the chart and explain how the chart works and then explain how something on the chart is incorrect. That's too much trouble. I'm not lying about anything. Clearly, it's in my video. I'm not going to, there's no argument to be made. You won't respond to my video that has the details in it, what I claim. You're claiming I said something here about 9.6 centimeters or something. It's in my chart, so fuck you. I mean, okay, I probably have the chart here somewhere. Let's see. Might be in one of these things. Unsaved. Okay, so 9 centimeters. That's three. If you drop something 9 centimeters, you're going to have 3 times the velocity. It's going to weigh 3 units of weight plus if you're dropping it in gravity. Now, if you do this 9 centimeter thing in the sense that you move something with 3 times the velocity, if you move something with 3 times the velocity, the point is it will weigh 3 times as much. Okay, so that's all that needs to be stated there. So I really don't know what your point is. Again, no one's arguing about how gravity works. I mean, you get 1 unit of distance in the first unit of time, and then you get 3 units in the second unit of time, and then you get 5 units in the third unit of time. So where's the argument? Added. So all of that adds up to 9. 1 plus 3 plus 5, that's 9. 3 units of gravity, 3 units of velocity, 3 units of weight, plus your gravitational weight. So you can keep saying I'm saying something else. I'm not saying something else. So you're the liar. I'm just saying, okay? I'm not going to remake the video again. I already played my own video in the video to you, explaining to you how, here's the video. This is what I say happens. You can say something else, but this is what I say happened. It's right here, literally, in your face. So you can go ahead and lie about what I'm saying, but I'm not saying what you're claiming I'm saying, so you're just the liar. I'm saying you're wrong to think they're proving kinetic energy. I'm just saying there's no dispute about the velocities, for fuck's sake. Everybody knows you double your velocity by going 4 times the distance. So everybody's established that one. So 1 centimeter is claiming it's 1 unit of velocity. 4 centimeters is 2 units of velocity. 9 centimeters is 3 units of velocity. 16 centimeters is 4 units of velocity. No one's disagreeing about that, you dumb fuck. What we're disagreeing about is that twice the speed is 4 times the energy. That's what we're disagreeing about. I'm arguing to you that I need to see a piece of fucking evidence, and you don't have any fucking evidence. So show me somewhere where you take 9 times the force and only get 3 times the spin, or 3 times the linear motion. Show me that experiment somewhere. I mean, I'd rather see the 25 times the force to go 5 times as fast, but if all you can do is the 3, do the 3. Show me the piece of fucking goddamn evidence, and you have none. There's no experiment demonstrating your lie, okay, that twice the velocity is 4 times the force, that 3 times the velocity is 9 times the force. You have no fucking evidence. No physical experimental evidence. So again, you're talking this bullshit. Yeah, of course I'm reacting to you, moron. You're lying about what I'm saying. That should bother me. Okay, and you're not making a rational argument about the actual subject. You're pretending there's disagreement about the rate at which something falls when there's no disagreement. We've been arguing this for 10 fucking years. Everybody in the argument already knows that shit, you moron. You're not pointing out anything goddamn new, you stupid fuck. The thing we don't have is any evidence indicating that twice the velocity is 4 times the energy. That's what you have to show. And it would be better if you show 9 times the work to do 3 times the velocity. 9 times the force, 3 times the velocity. Show me that experiment and show me where Newton thought that was true. Because obviously he didn't. So you're not only lying about me, you're lying about Isaac Newton. You're stomping on the shoulders of giants. Spitting as you're doing it. But look at these petty inquisitioners. They think it's all a fucking joke. Yeah, look, he just did it. He just emoticoned. That's it. That's the best they can do. Yeah, that's their great argument. So he's linking to the evidence by posting emoticons. That's the brilliant physics argument. So that's the best the moron can do. Can't provide a link to any evidence. Can't make a rational argument defending anything. All he does is throw insults and talk trash and emoticon. Like a 10-year-old. I mean, that's 10-year-old shit. That shit exists for 10-year-old and silly bitches. That shit doesn't exist for real men. Real men don't emoticon. Newsflash. So again, another false accusation from a physicist. Another physicist who, can't deal with the truth. I've never heard of nicotine addiction. You must be smoking pot. Yeah, right? Can you see the behavior? I mean, it's just so, he's just illustrating. It's just so ironic that every single time he types something, it's gibberish and shit. And it's full of false accusations. I mean, all he can make is false accusations. You're the guy, blue moonshine. You're the one selling moonshine. You're the one who looks in your underwear to see what you should be drinking tomorrow. And you're insulting me? Hilarious. I mean, I should take that comment that I should put it on the website, right? About why he calls himself what he calls himself. It's because he has a drinking problem, apparently. I mean, he certainly looks like he is a drunk. I mean, I don't know how old he is, but, he looks older than me. I don't even know what those are. What are those farmer icons? Farmers? I don't know why you're posting farmer emoticons. And 6 of them. I don't know. Does 6 mean something? You probably should post 9 of them because, you know, he was talking about 9. So at least it would be a little bit relevant to the conversation. But why would he even come in this room, right? I mean, it's so easy to just hit the record button on your computer, play my video, play one of those 10 videos I have, or 11 now, okay, that basically say how much do I have to pay a physicist to respond to this argument. Play one of those videos all the way through, and don't just comment about almost every sentence. Don't pretend that you don't have to respond. No, you actually have to respond to the statements being made in those videos and point out where the statements are wrong. Now, in a couple of them, there's little loose, you know, I say some things that aren't quite said very well. So you could take advantage of those. But if you're just going to quote mine the video, that would be bullshit. Play the video and explain where I'm making a logical error in the video. That I'm being unreasonable. That you've shown me this great evidence. I have to believe the great evidence. Show me that. So look, more mush. All right, enjoy your night in the cell. Yeah, that's the best he can do. I mean, as cells go, this is a great cell. I mean, I have a computer. I have, you know, it's very nice. But you really are stuck now, right? Because you started this, now you're in it, and there's no way for you to get out of it. There's no way I'm letting go. You know, you've proven that you can't make the argument. You can't really respond to what I'm saying. All you can do is make up lies. All you can do is, you know, distort and pervert what I'm saying instead of actually responding to what I'm saying. And you're just going to run away because we've seen it before. Every single time a physicist shows up to be superior and tell us what the truth is, as soon as they're asked these questions, well, where's your evidence? Where's the experimental evidence demonstrating that it takes anything like 25 times the fuel to spin a motor 5 times as fast? That the turbines in Niagara Falls, if I made them smaller and spun them faster, somehow I would make more electricity. Where is that fact? Where's the video proving that? I mean, you'll never be able to make a video again, okay, as long as I'm alive, you know, about any subject that's related to any of this stuff. So just make videos about color, chromatics, quantum bullshitiacity. So go ahead and make all the quantum bullshitiacity videos you want. But if you ever make a video about any of these subjects, I'm going to be there, asshole. And I'm going to point it out just how, what a fucking, you know, exaggerating perverter of the facts you are. That you don't have any evidence for this. You never prove that regular clocks are bent the same as atomic clocks. Yet you claim it in your video. That somehow it's a proof. Because you killed the cat. It's a ridiculous nonsense. Moving the target makes the arrow go crooked? Oh yeah, the arrow goes like this because I moved the target. I moved the side of the ship, therefore the photon goes crooked. No, it doesn't. You don't have any evidence of that shit for brain. You're so full of shit. I did not attack you in that video. I attacked the fucking subject, you dick shit. I'm allowed to think you're talking shit. You don't know how the internet works? What, you think you're a privileged fucking player and that somehow you can talk absolute shit and nobody can say you're talking absolute shit? Of course people can do that, you moron. Oh, God damn it. Where did I get into your personal life? Where did I get into anything else? I didn't get into anything else. And let's understand, you're the one who started my email with all this .loser crap. You fail, I beat you, I win. You did all that crap, okay? I've posted your fucking emails. Moronic gibberish, you motherfucker, tell me. And then you sit there and gloat. Oh, look, I made a page lying about you. You shouldn't be pissed off. I didn't make my video responding to your silly goddamn relativity video until well after that, jackass. So I had good reason to be pissed off, you fucking piece of dirt. Oh, this crap of you pretending to be a victim is just disgusting. You sat there from the very minute we disagreed, basically said, you're like all the other flat earthers, I'm going to make a flat earth page insulting you. That was your fucking threat, you moron! So anyway, if you are not happy with the response, that's your problem. There's no response to anything. The point is that you can see how upset and unhappy you are. I'm happy. Yeah, well, that's another giveaway, isn't it? So somebody who's happy on a planet where 99% of the sentient organisms will be destroyed brutally within minutes of their existence, okay, is a pretty sicko. It's pretty easy to argue you're a pretty sick person if you're all that happy, okay, in a universe where sentient feeling organisms are being brutally skinned alive and such. So fuck you until dead, you piece of dirt. Get what you goddamn deserve, you sadistic ghoul. Happy. Who the fuck gives a damn about being goddamn fucking happy? It's about being right. It's about being smart. It's about doing logic correctly. It's about doing honor to your fucking neurons. You have 100 billion neurons. You're supposed to use them to do something constructive, not to talk crap. Moron. Of course I'm upset. The whole fucking world is a pile of shit. We're living right in the middle of idiocracy, and physics has lived in a complete gingerbread fake world. I'd be upset if I'm upset with religion. I'm upset there's Muslims on this goddamn planet. I'm upset by a lot of fucking things, you moron. It's disgusting how stupid and idiotic human beings are. And you're just a perfect example of lying bullshit. Yes, you revolt me. You're revolting. Ignorant, stupid, lying cuntery is revolting. Like, man, again, it's just disgusting to live on a planet full of morons who actually think, oh yes, it takes 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. I never drive 50 miles an hour because it costs me 25 times as much. You know, what a pile of shit. I should ask the big question, do you actually believe in God? I mean, you're working at a Catholic university. Do you actually believe in God? Do you believe in segregation? You know? I mean, how dumb are you? I have movies on an old photo slide thing anyway, and just a bunch of old movies. So it's playing Madame Curie at the moment. It's kind of funny. But see, yeah, I science is everything. Getting to the truth, understanding how we work, how the machine works, the universe works. Incredibly important to understanding who you are and what you are as a machine. I mean, it's just, there's nothing more important than getting that shit right. So of course I'm passionate. I wouldn't be doing it for 10 fucking years if I wasn't passionate. Do you really think two electrons can be entangled? Do you think there's some space somewhere where there's no forces hitting the two electrons, the one electron, whatever you want to call it? That somehow it's possible for the electron to travel and no photonic energy of any sort can ever hit it and cause it to de-entangle. Do you think that's possible? I mean, their physics is just such, like I said, that whole entanglement thing is so fucking stupid. It was bad enough when they did it with just photons. But when they went, oh, okay, electrons are also entangled. I mean, that was where they just went way too far. You know, electrons in two places at once and all this horse shit. Because you know electrons are in a noisy world. They're not in a quiet place. They're not in some peaceful little place where nothing happens. They're being constantly bombarded. That's why they're moving, is because of the constant bombardment by the force. I don't actually believe if you drop a one mass on a scale and add the same mass on the same scale, it's 4 times the work. That's stupid. Yeah, well, I'm just saying, that's what, there's not much you can say. That's what they're claiming. Twice the spring compression, 4 times the energy. You're like, but I didn't do 4 times the work to make twice the compression. So how could that be true? I believe I need a new battery. So please do what I did. You're complaining about me doing a video ragging on your video. Well, just play one of my videos and rag on it. Go ahead. Let me see you do that. Okay, rag on the physics I'm talking. Point out how it's shit. But do it to one of the videos I'm asking you to reply to, please. One of the, how much do I have to pay a physicist? Well, it is, I haven't done any research on it, but it was just the fact that I couldn't find a single science video produced by Xavier University, okay? So there's just no science. They don't produce anything that's on the internet. Was sort of a giveaway, and then every single video I found was, look at my dorm room. Look how, there's balloons, and it's, cheese sandwiches. It's all this frivolous crap and a bunch of fat people. And so you're just saying, what is this? This is like, it almost should be one of those synthetic fake universities that are, just online or something, because it just screams, low intellectual standard. So maybe they have a great football team. I don't know. But it's clearly, it's just, a diploma mill, frankly. It's not an educational facility. Okay, it's not going to make smart things. I just hate the idea that it's, the race thing. We sort of, the 60s and 70s paid a huge price to finally get to like the 80s and 90s where it was all getting kind of good. This whole black-white thing. There wasn't a black culture. There wasn't a white culture. There was just human beings. You could watch a movie with a black and white person in them, and they were both reasonable people. And now it's going backwards the other way, where all of a sudden, black culture is hate whitey. And, there's just no hope, and, segregation is just such a bad idea. I mean, if you're going to say black people have some right to stay in a black bubble, then you can just make the counter argument that white people have a right to stay in a white bubble. And frankly, that ain't going to work. It is also sort of surprising, right, that these smaller universities, there are physics teachers that produce, public lectures online, and not even the students watch the videos because, the view numbers are so low. And it's like the physicist Michael guy was like that, right? I mean, he'd make a video and 43 people would watch it. And you're saying not even his students are watching these fucking videos. You're just saying, why wouldn't you take advantage of the fact that, you have all this, you can watch you can go to the lecture and maybe you miss something. You watch the lecture online, be so much help be very helpful to even watch this. Like say the lecture he did 2 years ago, you watch it and then you go to the lecture and you're going to be so much better prepared for what he's going to say and, absorbing the information. You're saying, why wouldn't people take advantage of that resource, especially when you're paying for your education? It just seems like, what the fuck? And it's just so hard to understand how few people. I mean, there's, this is really, like I said, I'm saying that the physics is wrong, a lot of it, okay, but I mean, some of it's good, a substantial portion of it is still good physics, okay, except for when they get to the wrong parts. But I mean, it's just that they don't have an interest. It's just so surprising. And then when you find out that the popular guys like Lewin, they're just regurgitating the same experiments they did in 1960. I mean, you can find the same exact, it's like they have the same monkey that falls off a stick. The experiment is so perfectly the same pantomiming. And, and Lewin is pretending he's inventing these experiments. He didn't invent any of it. It's the same show was performed in the 1960s. They just remade the movie. I mean, they didn't, it's not a new movie. It's just disappointing. And then, there's no opportunity for any counter argument. There's just nothing. They just get to do the preaching and get away with it. And it's the fact that physics doesn't even try to find a dissenting opinion to challenge it. Please challenge me. Please challenge me. That's my attitude anyway. Please show up with some evidence. Show up with an argument. Show up with something. I want you to prove me wrong, frankly, in the sense that I want you to test what I'm saying. Test me. But conventional physics, they don't want to be tested. As soon as you even imply they might be wrong about something, they just hysterically call you a flat earther, like Lewin did with the electric boom guy. Remember? No, you probably don't remember. But electric boom sort of just, I mean, I did the video about Lewin when he was saying it's this, 2 different voltages at the same location. And I was pointing out how you can't measure the voltage. It's an inductor. You're measuring the voltage created by induction. That means it's going into your probe wires, moron. You can't detect the voltage when your probe wire is getting electrified. And then Electric Boom finally made a video responding to Lewin saying, no, it's, you can't probe the experiment. It's impossible for you to probe it, okay? You can't do it. No matter what you do to insulate your wires and do this and do, you can't do it. It can't be done. All right. And so all you're doing is proving that induction goes into everything. That everything, it penetrates anything in the field that the inductor is active in. And you're just not going to be able to get an accurate reading about anything because the inductor is controlling everything. And it's just, it was so amazing. But yeah, as soon as the guy just made the comment that you're wrong, Lewin just automatically said, oh, well, if you want to be flat earthers and you want to be assholes, blah, 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 blah. It's like, Lewin's being the asshole. It's just obvious. That he's just not recognizing that the rules don't apply when your measuring device is corrupted. Your ruler is broken. And you could just say that's how all this physics works, right? It's because every time a ruler gets broken, they say the actual thing is broken. So time is broken because our clock is broken. You do something to a clock, you shake it, okay, and it doesn't tell time right. That means the whole universe, time has changed because the clock is actually right. It's just, why would you draw that conclusion? Why wouldn't you draw the obvious conclusion that you've corrupted your measuring device? I wonder if Blue Moonshine would answer my Eddington experiment question. Why haven't they repeated this simple experiment? I mean, it's dirt simple from space. The Eddington experiment. You don't need an eclipse. It only takes 5 minutes. And because there's 400 times better resolution, you don't even need a big telescope or a big telescopic lens. You just need a decent camera. And they've never even attempted it. That's what we're supposed to believe, that 50 years in space, they've never pointed a decent camera outside the lamb of the sun, or the corona, from my perspective, outside the noisy part, and looked at a star and measured whether or not it's in the right location. Why wouldn't they do that experiment? It's the only experiment that actually does visual photons. That is, photons have to stay coherent. Because you're going to move the image from one place to another. You have to move the whole image. So it's not a diffraction or it's not a scattering thing. So radio waves, you can scatter them and they go everywhere. So from every location, it'll look like it's in the wrong place, because of the scatter. But an image, you can't. Images would be really good evidence. The Eddington experiment is a unique experiment because of the fact that it transmits an image from one location to another. A whole image is moved. And they've never even attempted it. It's a $50 experiment from space, frankly. $500? Dirt cheap. Never even attempted. We're just supposed to believe that the fastest, lightest thing in the universe is bent twice as much by gravity. But we're really not given any hard evidence. And then I could ask the question, why are the Einstein rings that they show pictures of all wobbly? Einstein said that was impossible. Einstein said that it was also impossible for them to be thicker than the tiniest thin line. that you'd never be able to see an Einstein ring because it would be so incredibly thin. All right, has there been a physicist that actually played your video pointing out what you are saying? Yeah, of course not. You know, they won't be fair to my arguments. They just paraphrase, quote mine, do whatever they can to evade the subject. Well, look, the subject is they don't have any evidence, okay? They can't even show me 3 times the force to do 9 times the force to do 3 times the work. 3 times the velocity, 3 times the motion. They can't show me that. And they certainly can't show me 3 times the motion doing 9 times the work. And that would end the whole conversation, right? If they had that piece of evidence, it's over. If they just did the dropping test, it would be over. If they just did any of these simple tests, the whole argument would be over. But they won't do any of them. I gave Blue Moonshine, I gave him a whole bunch, Valerie, a whole bunch of examples of how to use his air track and dissect out of this something. So why not do the experiment without rubber bands? Metal on metal is elastic. It'll work. It's supposed to work just as well. Newton's cradles work. Okay, elastic metal works. Hard metal works. So why can't you do the experiment without the rubber bands? It should work. So why don't you do it without the rubber bands? See if it works. There will be no response. There will be no effort to support their truth. They won't defend their truth. They'll just attack me personally. That's all they could do. They don't have any other options. I've been asking for evidence for 10 years, and all we get are these marginal, dirty, filthy, cruddy experiments. Where again, the simple facts of the angular rotation in wheels is ignored. They ignore the fact that the elastic rubber bands and springs don't give back as much energy as they collect. They ignore all the variables and all the facts and pretend they've proven something. And it's always the most marginal thing. The tiniest, margins of error, because they need to fudge the experiment. So they can't do the experiment where it's 9 times the force to go 3 times as fast, because that experiment has gigantic, measurement quantities, and so you can't fudge it. But when you have a tiny margin, well, you can fudge the experiment. When it's a 10% difference, well, yeah, so what? But when it's a 90%, you're not going to be able to get away from the facts then. I wish he would have stayed and answered the questions. Do you really think it takes 4 times the spring compression to move something twice as fast? You really think so? Four springs. That's what the other physicist said. He said it takes 4 springs to move something twice as fast. 4 units of spring compression. Does he argue with the other physicists? No. They can talk shit at each other. They won't even bother pointing out how, oh, you just said something that really can't be true. They don't do any of that. They're all just cowards. They won't take a position because taking a position is dangerous. So they just keep talking around the subject instead of directly addressing the subject. The fact is they know it doesn't take 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. They know it isn't true. They don't have any explanation for why their theory fails to be true. Alright, all out of fluids. I believe I am anyway. Oh, this is pretty old. Yeah, is it worth drinking? No, I don't think I will. So, we're running out of time, just letting you know. Alright, so Hernandez quad fart. So I guess that's the troll from before who had to dox me for no good reason. Let's see, it's sort of hilarious. So this isn't going to be anything about physics. Okay, how you say, let's see, that when you pause the video every 5 seconds. So this is important. That if somebody says something, I think the Holy Ghost doesn't exist, and you know, the Jesus story is this, and they end up saying 15 things, and then the guy responds to one of them. Yeah, I'm saying that's lame. If you're going to do a response video, catch every sentence. Catch every sentence you think is a wrong sentence. As soon as they put a sentence out that's wrong, respond to it. That's what makes sense to me. Okay, maybe it doesn't make sense to you, but that's what makes sense to me. That's how you argue. You don't argue by letting somebody say 15 minutes of shit and then respond to 1 minute of the shit. That's bullshit. That's a useless debate. A useful debate is, here's a sentence. Do you believe it or do you disbelieve it? It takes 25 times the fuel to spin something 5 times as fast. Yes or no? But you won't answer those questions because you're a moron. Okay, when you pause the video every 5 seconds, so I don't do it every 5 seconds. So again, you have to exaggerate, right? Because your physics is exaggerated, everything is exaggerated. You can't ever say anything that's reasonable, okay, before you're even letting the person you're responding to speak. So again, just bullshit. I've done a ton of debates, and the fact is, I'm really good at making sure we stay on the subject and that we get to the subject. And so every one of my conversations with somebody has always been interesting. Because I make it interesting. Okay. You misrepresent people's position all the time. So it's just a lie. It's just absolute nonsense. That never happens. I never paraphrase people. I play their fucking video and respond to what they're saying. It's right there in front of everybody. If I'm cheating, you could point out the cheat. You could say, oh, you cheated. I never see any points where anybody ever quotes what I said and says, oh, you misrepresented. And the few times it does happen, now and then somebody says something, I misunderstand what they're saying. And then I concede, okay, I misunderstood. That can happen between people. They can say things sloppy. I've said things sloppily, okay, and people have taken huge advantage of it. Every single time I say anything sloppy, they take huge advantage of it. So, yeah, that's just a liability. I don't take huge advantage. I apologize if I misunderstood somebody. Let's see. I'm not the guy from FYI before. Well, why do you have the same name? Why? You think it's just a coincidence? I have 11 people in this room, and you think it's just a coincidence that 2 of them have Hernandez in their damn name? I mean, I know we're being taken over by the Hernandez. Okay, I know you're taking over the whole universe. But the fact is that would be a preposterous coincidence. I've just been watching the stream, and so you, after watching the stream, you decided to take the name of somebody who just overtly doxed me for no good reason. I mean, I'm pleading for him to make a physics argument, and he doxes me instead. That's his physics argument. And you're taking his name. And then you're putting quad fart on it. Like, what the fuck is that? Is that a 12-year-old thing or a 13-year-old thing? I mean, how exactly old do you have to be to do that? Well, what's the point of it? You're not doing me a favor, frankly. You think it's doing me a favor to have some asshole in the room who calls himself quad fart? That's doing me a favor? You got a funny definition of a favor, fucker. So just fuck off. You're just trolling. So do it someplace else. Yeah, I'll put you in a 24-hour timeout. But we know if you show up with that name again, I'm not going to appreciate it. I'm not going to assume you're ready to make a physics argument. That's what I'm surely going to know. That you're not prepared to make a physics argument. I mean, I'm pleading. Make physics arguments. Link me to your evidence. Please. Link me to your evidence. Link me to your evidence. Link me to your argument. Show me your brilliant argument. Show me where you prove that friction in gravity is always the same no matter how fast you're going. It's the same amount of friction per inch. Show me the experiment that proved that. I know. Well, I mean, there's no point in saying it. What the fuck's going on? I'm just saying, idiocracy is fucking here. I mean, when I was a kid, nobody was as dumb as this. This wasn't how the world worked. All these morons were in cages somewhere. So they keep saying we have all these people in prison. I think we're way short of the number that need to be in some kind of restraining device. I mean, damn. Human beings are getting so fucking dumb. You're just saying there can't be that much lead in the water. I mean, maybe I have lead immunity, so I catch every other disease, but I don't catch lead poisoning. Because it sure as fuck something has destroyed neurons, you know, in the last 30 years. I mean, it's amazing decline in the competency and integrity of human beings. They're just all lying scum now. I mean, it's just, you can't bang into somebody who isn't a lying scum. I mean, a genuine human being, you can't find one on this planet. Alright. Well, I could just play a video, maybe, and then I can just go get some coffee. So maybe I'll do that. Alright, let's see. I should be able to figure out how to do that without too much disruption. So maybe I can open a video of mine, of course. Yay for me. Alright, so there's got to be one here. Do spring store motion. Oh, momentum. Yeah, that was just so bad. I mean, it was such a bad video. Ooh. Okay, so that is not what I want. So I have to go to this tab here. Oh, I have the streaming software on, so I can't go there. Let's see. I could do it from here, I guess. Content. Yeah, let's put up the spring video. Oh, that's a good idea, Gary. Crap. Boy, a lot of videos. Okay, so here's the spring video. 59 minutes. Oh, that was a different spring video. Okay, yeah, that was the long version. Okay, springs. Alright, so we'll open that, a new tab. And it takes forever to load, but at least it does load. They used to not load. Oh, fuck, it didn't load the video. It loaded the comments instead. Alright, time for the drift. I don't want it playing as a little video, you moron. Oh, God, this YouTube is so annoying. Why the hell did it do that? I guess I clicked on the wrong thing. My bad. Alright, spring, 7 minutes and 33 seconds. So it's not even very long. I mean, really, people should be able to handle this without much difficulty. Okay, that's in the background. I don't know if I want to really move it up, but I guess I will. I have to connect it to springs. Now that's springs storing momentum. How much do I have to pay a physicist? There it is. Okay, so I will just move the chat out of the way. That should work. Put the chat up here. Oh, that didn't work. It's not the chat, I guess. That's the chat. Okay, move the chat up. Move the video down. Okay. Alright, that should work. Probably. All right, time for another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com, also video presentation.
Yeah, it seems like it's loud enough. I could go a little louder, maybe.
Intended to be brief on single subjects, for which I would like to hear a physicist explain how I'm
It's not showing my microphone settings.
something incorrect or wrong in the video about the state of physics. So in this case, we're going to talk about springs. We're going to use a tennis ball as an example, so we'll start with that. I couldn't do a
That
picture
should
in a
be enough
picture
volume.
for some reason.
All right, anyway, this is
That
I'm
feature
wasting
is
a lot
now
of time on
broken
this
for some
technical
reason.
details.
But
Fuck
anyway,
it.
so
Wobbling, so it goes in
very good
stiff.
video for slow
comes
motion.
out
But
wobbling.
anyway, you get the drift. I hope you got the drift. The ball wobbles, so it hits the ground. It's not moving at all. All right, it's nice and steady, and then when it bounces back, it's doing this. All right, and that's a problem because that motion is what really steals an awful lot of the ball's capacity to release the stored energy. So you put the energy in, it compresses, it creates pressure, does all kinds of good things, and then it fails dismally to actually leave with the same velocity it went in with. And the big problem is the fact that that ball is wobbling, which is the same, you could argue, as angular rotation in wheels on cars. That it's energy that won't be linear motion. So the heavier the wheels, the smaller their turning radius, the faster the axle spinning. That's all energy that you won't see as linear motion because it's essentially stored energy. So in any experiment, the argument is that you're going to use springs in, and if you're going to have some assumption that you're getting most or all of your energy back, you're wrong. And if you have some assumption that it doesn't matter what mass you put on it, you'll lose the same proportional amount of energy, you're wrong. Okay, so it's a pretty important subject. I haven't seen any physicist that talked about it. So, it's sort of glaring in terms of the fact that it really should be talked about by physicists if they're going to do experiments where they're going to move objects with springs, and that includes a lot of experiments where they use a spring to create a super elastic experiment. The problem is simply that when you move something with a spring, it has to have contact with the spring. So in a sense, Hooke's law only applies in terms of oscillations if the spring is actually attached to the mass. So it always has contact. But as soon as you have a spring mass system where contact is lost, then there's this problem where, let's say this is a light mass, should make it smaller. Well, it doesn't matter, you get it. We'll just, there, this one's more dense. There, okay. When you're shooting a light mass, let's say the mass was going to go 50 miles an hour. The spring, as it's expanding, is still going 49 when the mass leaves at 50. So when the mass is leaving, the spring still has a lot of velocity that it's not using because there's no mass to push. So this is essentially what the tennis ball is doing when it flies off and it's lost contact with the surface and now oscillates. Spring is going to do the same thing. And the catch is that when you're pushing a heavy mass, say you're only going 10 miles an hour, that's how fast the spring's going. It's only going 10. So there's going to be a lot less energy stuck in the spring because the velocity of the spring is much lower. It'll be doing a lot less oscillating, and it would have put much more energy into the object. So the simple truth is springs have a huge bias in the sense that they'll always put more energy, okay, in heavy things and less energy into light things. Now, you can understand it intuitively that springs, if I don't have any mass at all, the spring has a maximum velocity. And you could understand that there's going to be a lot of very light things that I could never get very much momentum into because the spring simply can't move as fast as it needs to, to give the object the necessary velocity. It would have to move perhaps 100 times faster than the spring can actually move. So it can't possibly create the velocity necessary to transfer the momentum. So the simple argument is that physics does lots of spring experiments, and none of the physicists talk about the fact that springs have a substantial bias against light things, where they're... All right, so enough of that and such. So, yeah, very good argument. Really, nobody reasonable could disagree with what was said there. It's kind of obvious. You lose contact with the spring if the spring isn't attached to the object. It's can't possibly give all of its energy to it when it goes in that direction, away from, it just can't. It's always going to undershoot, so to speak. Just a fact. All right. So what is this blithering genius crap again? So again, you just can't stay on the subject, can you? I don't even understand why people keep bringing this up. What has he done? What has he said that I need to respond to? I've already responded. He's a nihilist. He doesn't believe there's value in the universe. He doesn't think it matters how many things are killed, how badly you rip them to pieces. It doesn't make any difference to him. He doesn't think the universe could ever be bad, that a bad thing could possibly happen in the universe. What is there to argue with somebody that fucking stupid? I mean, he's dumber than a Muslim. So if you want to keep bringing crap up like that, then fuck you. Why should I pay any attention? You're just a waste of my time. It's not even on this subject. Blithering Genius does not make physics videos, for fuck's sake. Why are you bringing it up here? So I'm just gonna block you. Fuck you. Why should I have to bother with this? This is with a waste of time stuff. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is why you have to delete content, because it's all distraction. It's all way off the fucking goddamn subject. People are just such scum. They just keep proving it right in front of my face. They just keep fucking proving it. When that Val guy resorted to falsely accusing me of committing a crime, I couldn't believe how low that was. But then I realized that all of your detractors resort to those kinds of tactics. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. And I don't care, to some extent. Like I said, I don't care about the insults. I don't care about goofy, all the other bullshit that, loser. I couldn't care less. And again, the only thing that gets in my way, that's unacceptable, is the fact that I have to risk somebody else's welfare to have my free speech. That part bothers me. Yeah, it does bother me, okay? Because I don't like doing that. I don't like imposing on anybody. I like to be independent, and I like to be in control. And that means I don't have control, and I can't be independent. And I hate that. I hate being in that position. I hate all of this. These trolls have ruined so much of the stuff I'd like to do on the internet. I'd like to be a real human being in almost every possible way. But I can't be, because they won't allow it, because they'll take advantage of it and distort it and pervert it. Just like my art. You took my self-portrait, my nude, my figure art, and he perverted on it. Why? What did the artwork do to you? It's just so disgusting, that even something I paint, he can't respect. Yeah. I mean, to be able to paint something that's just even reasonably good, it does take some time. You have to, to acquire any hand at doing artwork, requires quite a bit of practicing and working at it, and blah blah blah. It's not a nothing thing in a person's life. If they've acquired some capacity, they haven't acquired it for free. And And it's just, it's just disgusting that people would puke on that, piss on that, shit on that. I mean, if I was throwing paint cans at a wall, okay, make fun of that. Yeah, that's not what I'm doing. So, you people haven't, you all fell asleep or something? Yeah. The video was too much, Gary. It was physics. I couldn't do physics. Too much physics in the video. Let's see how many people are here. 11. So 11, it's still a better number than usual. So I have to be gratified. I understand that this should be about correcting the mistakes. Well, they won't concede any mistakes. They won't concede any of it's exaggerated. They won't concede any of it is under evidence. And that would be the reasonable thing to say, is to say, okay, yeah, I get it. In 350 years, they probably should have done the, how much can you deflect the spring? What kind of momentum do you need to create a weight? To create this weight, putting something on the scale and weighing it, how much force do I have to apply this way to get the same reading on the scale? The fact that they've done that experiment, I mean, they've done nothing, crashed nothing. Bruce Yearney at least crashed wooden blocks into each other. So we got, but they don't crush. But we could see from the very fact that the thing with 4 times the kinetic energy couldn't win the tug of war, so to speak. It couldn't win the collision. I mean, what sense does that make? It has 4 times the energy. It can do 4 times the work, and yet it can't win a collision? I mean, they should just admit that, okay, I wish there was more evidence. Can't every one of us just say those words? I wish there was more evidence on the evidence table. I wish this was a trial where we could actually weigh the evidence. But there's no evidence on the fucking evidence table. We don't have any testimony. We don't have any gun. We don't have any fingerprints. We don't have shit. And we're supposed to make a judgment and decide what the truth is. And we've been shown nothing. How could we have reasonable or unreasonable doubt? I mean, I suppose the default is we're all in reasonable doubt because, yeah, the evidence sucks. I mean, I pointed out the paradoxes. I mean, even, the simple lever argument. When they say kinetic energy controls the lever, well, then it means that you put a one mass going 1.4 the velocity in one side, and you get a 2 mass going 1 velocity out of the other side. You make free momentum again. How can that be possible? How could the law of the lever be right for 2,000 years and all of a sudden now it's wrong? I mean, those are just so obvious that why would a reasonable person say, oh yeah, the evidence is so crystal clear that the facts are just so obvious. They're not obvious at all. You haven't drawn any picture of this theory, how it works. Where's the picture of a scalar energy? It's just, but it's all this ever started with. That's why I called the channel Draft Physics, is because I was drafting an alternative explanation that was so much simpler. And they just hated the idea that I'm challenging their messy, sloppy, convoluted pile of crap theory with some kind of really simple mechanics. Oh, how dare I? And then I made a simulation that actually works. It actually illustrates perfectly the function of charge. It explains why electrons repel electrons and why electrons attract protons. It perfectly explains it with this simple mechanics, just so fucking simple. 2 force bits, 2 matter bits, 3 interactions. And that's it. 2 plus 2 plus 3. That's it. 3 interaction physics. I mean, it's so simple. Reflection, absorption, conversion. Those simple rules, and it duplicates charge perfectly. I mean, I should be applauded for being able to come up with something so fucking simple that actually does what charges do. Even if it's wrong, I should be applauded for finding something so damn simple that creates attraction and repulsion in exactly the right proportions. And they can't even do that. They can't even point out how, yeah, that was a really interesting thing you did. To be able to create something that physics can't explain and explain it with such a simple device. I mean, it just shows they have no integrity. The truth doesn't matter to these critics. I'm not asking anybody to like me or even respect me. But the fact is, you have to give some respect to the work I did. And the fact is, I have explained the double slit experiment, right? The 2-surface explanation works. The surfaces are causing the effect. The mechanics work. It explains why the math works. Because the math, frankly, the math is surface math. It's not wave mechanics. If you draw 2 waves coming out of the double slit and draw your vectors from the center of those waves, you won't get right answers. You only get right answers by drawing your vectors from the surfaces. I should be insulted for, pointing out that fact. So anyway, someone must concede I do love the physics. I love this science challenge. I love the challenge of this puzzle, and the fact that I can't solve it. The puzzle isn't the physics. The puzzle is conversing with the other humans and explaining the physics. And although it's obnoxious that I have to interact this way, it's a challenge right in front of my face saying, Gary, you're failing. And you're like, no, I can make this putt. I can do this. And you know it's in you to do it. And somehow you're just not able to get it done. And it's just, it's that thing that just pulls you in. And so here I am on my birthday, pleading for a physics argument. Please show me a physics argument. Fat person, fuck that shit, okay? Hello, question mark. What the fuck does that mean? Fuck. You're going to get blocked or something in a minute, okay? This is gibberish. I don't want gibberish. So if you can only gibberish, go somewhere else and gibberish. I'm sure there's other chat rooms that just love gibberish. But this is a no gibberish zone. So don't gibberish on me. Small minus energy lost. Well, lost to what? Some systems don't have any losses. Electrons and protons don't have losses. Out of the system, nothing is free. Energy is conserved, and any exponential output is irrational. Well, I'm just saying that the energy is a vector, and it's always a mass and a velocity. So they say photons are massless. They say it. Do you think they have evidence that a photon doesn't have a mass? Do they have any evidence that the Planck quanta, the energy quanta as, well, the light quanta as Einstein described it, the little bits of quanta, do you think those bits have to be massless for some reason? Why do they have to be massless? Why can't they have they all behave the same way? We know that if you hit something with dot, 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 it tips something over. You hit something with dot, dot, dot. It doesn't tip it over. So there's clear arguments to be made that it's not about how many dots. It's about how fast the dots happen. That's what changes the world, is how fast it happens, not how much of it's happening. So it's not, you don't say, oh, the photon has more energy. It didn't have more energy. It doesn't have more quanta in it. It just has them closer together. And the trick is you need more energy to make them closer together. That's the trick. You had to put energy in to make them closer together. But they themselves don't have more energy. They can't move more matter as individual quanta. They can only move more matter because you've squished them all together and had them hit something all at once. So again, you can break glass by pinking at it, okay? Because you can apply a lot of energy in one tiny location and crack the glass. Or you can take 5 times that energy and put your whole hand on the glass and not crack it. I mean, the fact that things break by different rules doesn't mean it's more energy. The pointy arrow doesn't have more energy. I mean, everybody should be able to agree with that statement, right? Everybody should be able to concede, okay, pointing the arrow doesn't mean the arrow has more energy. We know it'll do more penetrating. It won't do more work. It'll just break a surface better. But it won't move more matter. So it's not going to move more matter. It's just going to go deeper by moving less matter, less distance. Less momentum is going to be exchanged because of the point. And that's it. So yes, it does more penetrating. It does something different. But it's not more energy technically. And the fact that I have to make this argument to adult human beings, I have to explain that you can't be fooled by pointy arrows. Applying energy is different than having energy. The application matters. You apply it differently, you'll get a different outcome. I should have to make that argument. Let's see, when will you go live again on your other channel? I don't know. Is there some point? I mean, Bathtub, again, you're off the subject again. I mean, why do you keep doing this? I mean, I don't want your putrid, useless chatter. Yeah, I don't want it. I'm not interested. I've told you what the subject is, fuckhead. Okay, yeah, sorry. You're done. You just, I should be out of here in a half an hour, so we'll make it a half an hour. This is so useless. Who fucking cares if it's the real bathtub? Who the fuck could care? He doesn't have anything relevant to say, so fuck him. You don't have anything relevant to say, so I got fat person and bathtub guy, both irrelevant. I was referring to the case of a collision. Should have been more specific. It's okay the way you said it, I thought. I'm just saying that obviously this scalar crap is just crap. And you can't make heat and keep all of your momentum. Again, that's their argument, that somehow the ballistic pendulum, you've conserved all of your momentum. That is, you have all of the mechanical motion, the linear motion, you've conserved it all, and yet somehow you made a whole bunch of heat. So somehow you knocked the little pins down and didn't lose any momentum, and then you hit the big pins and conserved all your momentum. I mean, it's just idiotic. It can't happen. And we know it doesn't happen because the gun and the bullet proves it. The spaceship with the gigantic thrust and the tiny little momentum movement. The opposite reaction, that's 1/1,000,000th the amount of energy shooting out the other end. It's a 1,000,000-to-1 ratio between the energy you get in the ship and the energy you're shooting out the back end of the ship. 1,000,000-to-1 difference. How could they talk about it being conserved? It's obviously not conserved. Yeah, Beth guy always had more ego than he was worth. He thinks he's spewing pearls, and he's just puking swine. There we go. It's insane how long you have been making videos. Well, it's not insane, but whatever. Life is a strange thing, like I say. It's just strange. But before the internet, I actually did write a newsletter and just mailed it to people. Yeah, just random addresses, just to see if I could find some kernel of humanity who could give a shit about something. and never worked. Never got anything back from anybody. Just demonstrating that it's just hard to compel people to take anything seriously. So I just write about the right to die or some other subject, just to explain how, come on, why are we just doing this the wrong way? Why, it's just horrible to make somebody's death any harder or crueler than it has to be. How could a decent human being on earth think it's ever worth it to force somebody to suffer any longer than is necessary? And the fact that you get no response from people is just amazing, especially in the context where they had to have seen this. They had to have seen. I went to a nursing home when I was a kid. We go every Sunday and talk to the old people. As some sort of religious thing to do. And you don't talk religion, but you just talk to them to make them feel better and feel like somebody gives a shit. And to me, this was almost a brutality as a kid, just because it was a horrible place to go to. The people were so desperate for the conversation, somebody to take an interest in their life. And but the worst part is a lot of them are just gone. They're done. And you see them with like a naked woman's body. I'm 12 years old, and there's a stretched out naked woman, 80 years old or whatever, and they're hosing her down. You shouldn't see that shit. Yeah, it's gonna fuck with your head. So I'm not saying I wouldn't, these are all little experiences. So you have a life of all these little things, and they motivate you to give a shit. To realize that if nobody does anything, then it just keeps happening. It keeps happening, keeps happening. All this stuff will keep happening if nobody gives a shit. If nobody says stop doing it the wrong way. Somebody has to say stop doing it the wrong way. Here's a better way. And if nobody's willing to do that, then nothing changes. But the sad fact is, if somebody's willing to do that, nothing changes. I can't agree with it. It's like my verbiage is my verbiage. I like what I say. And if somebody else says something similar, I'm not quite sure that's the way I'd say it. There's nothing to cherish on this planet. I wouldn't say that. There's stuff that's profoundly beautiful, and there's, like I said, I would argue my interactions with felines, over the years, were cherishable interactions. the spectacularly interesting brains, of those organisms and how they function and how they interact and how purely genuine they are. That's cherishable. It's just that the ugly is just way outnumbers the beautiful. There's more weeds than flowers. More ticks than butterflies, however you want to say it, right? So yeah, I'd probably like weeds and flowers better than ticks and butterflies. Well, I'm just saying animals are, when you look in their eyes, it's just eyes. It's not a huge difference. Another human, animal, not that big a difference. Living things make me uncomfortable. I mean, you worry for them. So that's, it's not about liking them. It's about respecting them. I mean, as a kid, I wasn't really a cat person. Well, there you disappeared. You're just off the radar now. Anyway, this isn't the subject. But it's just a ridiculous statement. I mean, humans are no more important than barnacles. It's just stupid. Barnacles don't have a brain. Your nihilism is showing. And it's, like I said, it's very unappealing. It's obnoxiously wrong. Your theory is wrong. Every single sentient brain mattered. The ones that are in the past mattered, the ones in the present matter, and the ones in the future matter. And the future ones are the ones we're playing with right now. We're playing with their fate. We're jiggling the little strings. Alright, down to 8 viewers. Okay, so we've declined substantially. Lost 30%. Again, there's no sense to what you're saying, okay? So they're completely different machines with completely different basic fundamental functions. It's just idiotic to call us sticks, or to call us trees, or to call us grass. We're not grass, we're not trees, we're not rocks, we're not bricks. Yeah, we're made out of atoms, we're made out of electrons and protons, made out of the same stuff, but our functions are completely different. So fuck you! How big the brain gets? Again, you don't even understand. It's not about a big brain, it's about an organized brain. Our brains aren't spectacularly big, moron. We can do language. I mean, again, this is something I wish, it's just as a biological fact, it seems so obvious to me that this is the explanation, right? That our senses are shit, right? I mean, dogs can, They can smell 500 asses and know each ass from each ass, and they can have a memory of each ass they smelled, and they locate everything and everything that's been touched by something. They have this intense capacity to organize the world based on odors. All right, we can't barely smell the difference between a taco and a pile of dog shit. I mean, our senses are garbage compared to all of the other mammals, which is a huge indication that our brain is doing something else now. So all of those skills that we would have had, we've lost because our brain is busy doing language and organizing concepts. And that's why we're capable of doing this language thing and being able to do this understanding of modeling a system, is because of language. We've paid a price for it, okay? It wasn't for free. All right, 2-minute warning, I guess. Something like that. Yeah, you already said you're sorry. I get it. Okay. You spoke kind of sloppy and recklessly. Okay, I understand. I'm just saying it's one of the most important things to me is this recognition that you can't reduce us to electrons and protons. It's just a ridiculous thing to do, because that's obviously I'm experiencing consciousness. Okay, I'm experiencing it. I'm tasting it right now. And I know it's not doing brick. I'm not being a brick. I'm not being a moon. I'm not being an asteroid. I'm being something incredibly different. I mean, it's all in my brain. It's all bullshit. It's all electricity. But it's one hell of a pile of bullshit, as Einstein would say. If it's an illusion, it's one hell of an illusion. Can't be ignored. Can't be pretended away. All right, so thanks. yeah, it wasn't bad. It was good to have some of the opposition in here for a little while anyway. And, unfortunately, they won't answer my questions, won't make arguments. None of that stuff happens, so that's all bad. But, I can only do my part, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the best I can. You can dislike what I'm doing. You can dislike how I'm doing it. But there's nothing insincere or contrived or anything. I sincerely think physics is really important because it's how you understand what you are. You can't understand what you are as a machine, as a mechanism, as a thing in the universe, unless you have the physics right. It's the entire context to our existence. All right, so till the next time and such and so forth and whatnot. So I just hit the button. So till the next time and such. Hit the button.